Okay, so we're talking about the Linux command line. And in general, the best way to understand the command line is really just to go through a large number of examples. There's some references over here that I've listed. The command line crash course is quite good. You can go through this. Mark Sabell's Linux book and Unix Power Tools are well worth buying, as is the sysadmin handbook if you want to get a little lower level in your investigations. We're going to start out, as usual, by opening up an EC2 virtual machine and SSHing in. We're doing all these commands in a vanilla environment without much in the way of configuration. As we progress, we're going to set up quite a lot. So let's talk now a little bit about the three streams, standard in, standard out, and standard error. The way to visualize this is basically that from your keyboard, you are giving standard in to a program. You can also cat a file and send data in to a program, but basically text input to a program. And that program will produce output, standard out, and it will also have informational messages or error messages that will go to standard error. And these are by default, echoed back to the display. But what's interesting is you can reconnect these to pipe into other programs, just like you can have other programs upstream pipe in, data into standard in. And to get a sense of that, there's a bunch of commands over here which you can run, and it's worth going through these at the command line. So let's do that. So that didn't work. Fake URL is not a URL. We can actually take that error message and pipe it, or redirect it rather, to errors.txt. So this was a redirection of standard out without the numeral in front of it, just a caret or greater than symbol. And here was a redirection of standard error. We can see that this message is the same as what we would have seen over here that was printed to the prompt. Now, we had some proper output go to standard out, and some error messages go to standard error. And we set it up so that we were redirecting both of these, the standard out to out1.txt and the standard error to out2.txt. Here, curl google.com produced normal standard out, whereas fake URL produced standard error. Notice also that this informational message about curl downloading a file was printed out to standard error. Here's a version where we've actually sent them both to just the same file, both standard error and standard out, all in just one big smash. This is an example where we actually sent this as standard in to head through something that we're going to talk about called a pipe. Here's an example of taking the output from curling google.com, basically pulling that content, taking the first two lines of it, and then sending both the basically everything that was produced here to ASDF.txt, both standard in and standard error. And this is an example of a pipe over here. So it's a technique of connecting one command standard out to another command standard in. We'll do a lot more with Unix pipes, but in general, when you can write programs in this way, by piping one thing into the next, you generally should, because the resulting programs are often very quick to write and actually surprisingly robust. It's called Taco Bell programming. You can take a look at that link.